It was Phil and Nicky B and Nick Brown and other people too. But I remember the three of you guys from that night. And they were really good. And you won. Yeah, they won champions.
Of course they did.
And it was, and at that age, you know, it's like Phil's a pretty good guitar player, pretty good singer, and pretty good guy on stage, and pretty good at being in a band, and you know, he's a young guy. And when it comes to the music stuff, he just got a little better, and a little better, and a little better. And there's times where I'd see him play later on, and it's like, whoa, he can play the slide now. Man, his finger picking is a lot better. And it just seemed that, you know, we all want to grow and change, but you know, this is a gradual process. And it seemed that sometimes that he just like developed in leaps and bounds of things. And I felt the same way about him personally too, is that it's not just that he developed as you would want to, it just seemed like he was constantly blossoming into a better and better version of somebody that was already pretty great to begin with. As everybody here knows, he was kind and generous and a great friend, and he was a calming presence, and he had a smile on his face, and he was just a great guy, a wonderful person. And you know, we say these things about people, you know, especially when you're paying tribute to somebody, but about him, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I feel like he was part of our family, the Barbe family, through his relationship to to all of us, especially to my son Henry, and I felt a kinship to him through music as we were fellow musicians in town. He worked and was loved by my also beloved Drive-By Truckers family, and he was an intern at my studio, and he was great at it. I never had better, more promptly made coffee and a cleaner bathroom. Phil Carpenter was my intern. He was a great intern. And I'll tell you another great thing about Phil as an intern in that role is when I asked him a question, he was, I wouldn't say he's unafraid, because it seems like it would be some terrifying thing, but he would speak his mind to me. There was a time that I wanted to show them how to record a song, pillar to post. And so I said, all right, I got a new song, came out the other day. I'm going to play every instrument, and then you guys are going to record it. And that way, if you want to know something, you ask me, and then I'm just going to do like one take things. I'm just going to go through it. So sell it up what you want, and we're going to do it. And Michael, were you the other half of this? So it was Michael and Phil doing this together. Michael's also an excellent intern. I don't want to degrade your intern. And anyway, so we went over the course of the day, and anybody that plays music knows the biggest danger you have is that you play something really cool and then you blow past it in search of something better, and then you realize the same feeling of I should have stopped at the last exit and gotten something to eat, and I should have stopped 5 takes ago. But I played this thing and I was like, oh, I can do that better. And Phil stopped me and said, that was because I kept kind of fooling around. He's like, that first thing, you just were feeling it, was so great. And it's funny, I've listened back to that thing over time, and it is perfect. And he had a great sense for this, but I think he also had a great sense of maybe watching somebody else in their moment of inspiration and picking up on it, because the big great thing about him is that he was tuned into the other people. You know, I think sometimes the problem that we have is we get too tuned into ourselves, and sometimes maybe not as tuned into everybody else. And maybe that's why we're all here. Maybe that's why we loved him so much, is because he's somebody that seemed tuned into you and you and you and you and you and me and everybody else, because he was. Because he cared about the other people. The other way I knew Phil was as my student at UGA, and he was a great student at that. And much like his evolution as a musician and his evolution in the studio, he was a pretty good student when I had him in a class as a freshman, and when I had him in a class as a junior, he was way better at harder work. And it's just because he cared and he wanted to know what you thought, and when you told him, he listened, and if you gave him constructive criticism on something, he took it because he wanted it, because it helped make him better. And I think that was his goal in all this. And I could go on and on about him, but it's like what I'm going to think about with Phil isn't the last week or so here, but I'm going to think about the times that I've known him since he was a teenager up until now. And I'm grateful that I knew him. I mean, as a grown man in, more fully developed form, I'm grateful that I knew this guy much younger than me and feel like that I profited from knowing him and having him as my friend, which he truly was, and having him as part of my family. And I know that we all feel this way, and we all miss him, and I'm going to think about him in that light because I think that that's what he deserves, because he's just I'll tell you one other thing about him, and it's a little, then I'll be done, which is there was an episode where he and one of my sons got into a little bit of trouble. Nothing too bad. We all do this. I was a teenager and I did really worse stuff than these guys. But when it happened, Phil sought me out to come talk to me about it. I would probably embarrass him if he knew I was saying this, but he sought me out. A teenager sought me out and to talk to me to make sure that everything was cool between us. And let me tell you, this is an unusual trait in somebody who, when they feel like they maybe have gone awry of somebody else, to seek that person out and say, hey, I want to make sure that everything's cool between us. I take full responsibility for my actions. And that's the kind of thing that you develop into over time, and you don't expect a teenager to do to you. But that's the kind of guy that Phil was. And all I can say about him, in closing here, is that he's just an A+ solid dude in my book, and a great guy. And I love him, and I miss him. And here's to Phil. If I had a drink in my hand, I would.